I'm excited to announce Luis Valenzuela. He's a product manager at DSM. He has a very nice international experience that he will share with us. He works in the field as a product manager in gut health, in the microbiome modulator, so very hot topic nowadays. So, Luis, I'm welcoming you to, as I like to say, our virtual stage. So please head on. Thank you very much for speaking for us today.
Thank you, Srinka. I hope I said it right.
Yes, you did it perfectly. Yes.
Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure for me to be with you today. Just let me make sure I share the screen so I don't forget and I start talking. Just give me a second. Please let me know if you see the screen coming.
Yes, we can see it.
Do you see it in a big view or small?
Now,
yes.
Big view.
Yes, now we see it in presenters mode. Yeah.
Presentation mode, okay. Well, so I was invited to give this talk today, and believe me, I'm very passionate about this because then I can tell you a little bit about my upbringing, my background, and it's a story, and that's why it says a once in a lifetime journey, because a lot of people tends to always question, right? I was there where you are probably right now thinking, what am I going to do? Probably you have limitations, probably you just want to change and you don't know how to do it. But at the end, it's on you. So that's what I can tell you. It's on you to do it. And this is what I would like to talk to you, because I was once a scientist. I'm still being a scientist at heart, but now I'm more in the commercial side of the business. So there's a quote that says, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life, from Confucius. I like it a lot, not because I said that I don't have to work. I actually have to work a lot. You feel the work sometimes, but if it's something you're passionate about and you like it, then you will feel very natural at it and you will feel very comfortable doing what you do. So, product manager. I'm a global product manager for gut health. So then I was presented as microbiome modulator products, and I will tell you a little bit more about that later on. So who am I? I'm from El Salvador. In case you're wondering, El Salvador is a country in Central America. So this is a tiny dot that you cannot even see in this map. I was born in there. This is me with my dad. I come from a family of professors. So education was there all the time. You have to take classes, you have to do master, I have two careers. I studied in El Salvador, industrial management engineer. So I'm an engineer first. Then I didn't like it, but my dad said, hey, you have to keep studying because you're too young. At that time, I would say I was a bit gifted. I was at 20 years old, graduating from an engineering degree. So then he told me to keep studying because it was too early to go into work. And I said, okay. Then it came up time that we are also a bit of entrepreneurship family, but for matters of destiny, we financially broke. But my dad was paying for everything. And I said, I was feeling bad because the university was not cheap, especially if you pay private universities in Central America, they are not cheap. So then I had the fortune that my big brother was living in the US as well. So when I was growing up, after my 12 years old, I started to travel to the United States. And then that's how I learned English. I was not that good in grammar, so I had to take classes in grammar just to reinforce that. I was working in El Salvador for an American company, and that helped me a lot as well. Then it came that part that we had that difficulty in our life, and then it came the exciting part for me, because then I said, I don't want my dad to pay, but I want to study abroad. And the offer of my dad was, I send you to the US and we see how we pay it. And I said, no, it's even crazier because it's even more expensive. So then I applied to DIV. I wanted to do agro industry, and I applied to different. I went to all the embassies that I could find in El Salvador that had agricultural programs, and that had scholarships in their portfolios. And I ended up in Taiwan. So I went from El Salvador to Taiwan. I'm talking about 10 years ago, 11 years, no, 12 years now. That was in 2010. So 12 years, I decided to go to Taiwan. And so I went to study animal production. So that was the degree I chose. And I was in the Department of Agricultural Sciences at the university in Taiwan, Pingtung University. That's where I did my bachelor from scratch, animal science. Then I did my thesis on fish nutrition. I was awarded with a scholarship to do my master degree, also in Taiwan. And then after that was the question that you may have right now. What do I do? Do I keep doing science? Do I take my PhD? Or do I move to the industry? Luckily, and I will go into those details afterwards, I met many people that helped me to decide what I was going to do. And so here I am right now. I started to work for Biomin, a previous company that is still in there, but it was acquired by this company called DSM. That's also in the similar field. So basically, I just transitioned from one company to the next, but at heart, I'm still being green in a way. So there is another thing. So I told you a lot about me right now, but in here I have Claudia from HR. There is always one question when it comes to an interview. Tell me about yourself, right? And if I go and tell you all this is a nice story, but it doesn't tell you, it tells you about who I am, but it doesn't tell you what I bring to the company, right? So if you are always wondering how to answer that question, for me, work in this way. First, let's say that now I apply for a different position internally in the organization. So then I will say what I'm doing right now at the moment. So currently who I am, what is my background, and what do I do in that position? So you have it in here. I will not read that. Then next, I will go into what I did. What did I achieve just in the past year? Okay, what steps were taken to achieve that in the past years of recent achievements? And next, I will go what I would like to do in the future. So then that person also has an idea of where would I like to go in terms of development. So, okay, I want this position, but I also have ambitions. I want to grow. And this is how I will position about who am I, or tell you about myself towards what I could bring to the company. Okay, so you have two ways of doing it. You tell a little bit about your background, where you come from, or your journey in the sciences or in your career, and then a little bit more on what do you bring to the company, right? So I just thought that it was a good idea to put it in here. Then my job profile, product management. I tell you, product management, there is no clear job description for this. It can go from simple product management back office work to a very complex product management where you have to deal with different departments. And this is the case in the agricultural sciences. Why? Because, and this is exciting for us, because we are scientists at heart, but at the same time, we have to understand the commercial part. So in a way, if you do product management in an agricultural organization or company, you will always have that connection to science. So you have that part, and you understand methodologies, and you understand studies, and you know how they were carried out. But then at the same time, you have to be able to translate this to sales, to the sales structures, to do marketing with them. So the main points of connection that I have in the company, if this is me, you can see me like an octopus with a lot of arms. Then I have R&D, sales and management, sales and marketing channels, and production, and also the part of quality control, regulatory and quality control. These are the departments that you're connected the most, and that you have to translate what is happening in R&D all the way to the market. But then you also have you have other departments like IT, HR, that you have to also be having connections to and be in constant communication, especially if you have teams or you have reportees. So This is another way of seeing it. Product management, you are in the middle. In a way, you are a mini CEO, especially if you have a product given to you. In my case, for 5 years, I did a product called Poultry Star. It was a symbiotic for birds. So it's a pre and a probiotic together. And then now I'm a global product manager for this brand, Symphium. Symphium is just one product of a platform that we aim to launch in the coming years. And this is the most exciting innovation we have in this of a specific modulator of the microbiome. So this is a glycan. So you're a mini CEO connecting all these processes, making sure that this is profitable for the company. So this is, in an essence, a little bit of my job profile. Now, what is the traditional thinking? Because we're talking about life sciences, right? What is the traditional thinking and logical career path for a scientist? We talk about this undergraduate, postgraduate, or master degree, PhD, and what happens after PhD, postdoc, and what happens after postdoc. Maybe you become a faculty member and you keep going in teaching and so on, right? There are other paths, and here there are listed some of them. What did I do? I'm up to here. I'm a postgraduate. I'm a master. So I told you I'm an engineer. I have a bachelor in animal science, and I have a master degree in fish nutrition. And for me, that was it, because after my master, I went into an institution that is called Academia Sinica in Taiwan. I don't know if you are familiar with the place, but it is regarded as the Harvard of sciences, especially molecular sciences in Asia. And why is that? Because it's integrated by PhD candidates of different life sciences, and they come from different universities to do their projects in there. So it's also an honor to belong to them. And then you get a double PhD from Academia Sinica and also from the university that you represent. So it's a very attractive offer to do a PhD, but it takes sometimes 8 years, 10 years. So for me, that was okay. I did the internship and I said, you know what, I don't want this. And I want to be like those guys that I used to see at the airport, traveling the world and doing work. That's what I was thinking at that moment. So then it comes the question, how do I do it? Who do I know? How do I go into one of these big companies or even a small one to start with? And this is what I can tell you of. These are my takeaways from being a student, okay? So my learnings was, think about what is your end goal. You have to really be clear on what you want. It's okay to try. It's okay to do an internship. I did an internship to see if I do my PhD, and I realized that I was not cut for the lab all the time. Then it's always possible to change. So just briefly try it. See, okay, I didn't like it. Maybe it's not what I want. You have to feel it. In a way, your intuition, your heart is telling you, okay, I belong here or not. And no, if not, then just look for another possibility. Do not get discouraged if it doesn't work at once. I tell you, I failed so many times in terms of experiments. I failed so many experiments that at the end, I thought if I had to take another master degree, so it would have taken another 2 years. Also, I would tell you the story of when before entering Biomine, actually, somebody from Biomine, that was the first company that I approached, just closed the door on me. Just like that. And I was like, okay, maybe they are arrogant and I will never work for them. See me, that was my first company, Biomine. But that's an interesting story. I will tell you just a little bit more about that later. But the message is, do not get discouraged. Be confident. That's number one, because attitude is, for me, what it works a lot. Attitude. Be very confident on what you're doing. Don't doubt yourself, but make sure you have the grounds to be that confident to the point that you're not arrogant. So know when to give in and when to fight. Something that makes you fail many times, and perhaps you are right when you're giving your opinion, but you have to be smart. And that's where it comes that not just IQ, but EQ. You have to have emotional intelligence. You have to know when you can interrupt, when you can even give your opinion, even though you have your leader, your boss, the CEO of the organization in there, and when to basically shut up. Even though you know it's not right, you have to sometimes just keep it in yourself. So you have to know when to pick your battles. Make sure you have evidence, so you have the grounds for that. And if you're good at something, even if this is a hobby, in sciences, we have many hobbies. In my case, my hobby, in a way, are languages. I have been a bit lazy on the German one, but I speak Spanish, English, Chinese. I understand a little bit of Taiwanese, then Portuguese, kind of a given. And now I'm Claudia, just to tell you, I'm starting with German now. So then why do I bring this? Because in a way, it's a bit of my hobby. Thinking a way to monetize that, because that would be like your first job. And when I was in Taiwan, that was my way of having a more comfortable living. I was teaching English or Spanish sometimes. Then we were talking about what skill sets you need. In something cool that I didn't know, you brought it up, Trinka, was that part of the skills, right? And transition skills that you need. I will say that between a scientist and a professional in a commercial fashion, a lot of skills are pretty similar. And I have listed here some. For example, the most prominent ones for me is problem solving. If you're a scientist, you have a problem, you have to prove it, you have to come up with a solution, have a hypothesis, etc. Then data, you have to manage data and analyze the data. You have to be able to communicate, even though you might not be gifted at verbal communication. You have to write a paper, and in a way, you have to write that paper for somebody to read it and understand it. And you have to adapt. Things doesn't go one way. Things change. Sometimes you have your advisor, but for some reason your advisor cannot keep you, or you have to move. Then you have to adapt to the situation, right? Now, if I go into my skills at the moment, okay, yes, you have to have industry insights and KPIs. So at the moment that you decide to go into an industry, you have to study that industry. You have to know where you're going. You have to know the big players. So when it comes into the interview, you're convincing. You have to have a strategic thinking. One of the things they gave me as a task environment before I enter was a 20-minute presentation, and I had to develop on a strategy to commercialize probiotic for chickens. So you have to think a little bit about that. Then guess what? I'm in this part: communication, negotiation, storytelling, adaptability, problem solving. In a way, not 100% similar, because the storytelling, it's something that you learn in a job, or you can be very good also lying to your parents to go for parties and so on. So you are a bit good in storytelling. In that sense, it comes the communication part, right? So negotiation, storytelling, this communication comes together. Okay, so quite similar. It's nothing that is out of this world. Then the steps that took me where I am right now, and I'm serious, this is what I did to be where I am. First, understood my strength and my weaknesses. Before starting my engineering degree, I wanted to become a doctor. But to be a doctor, you have to be, in a way, very dependent to your parents. And I was very independent since I was a teenager. So I was not able to do that. Then you have to understand, what are you good at it? And what is your weak point? So all that is like, in a company, you have to understand your competitors. You have to understand yourself. Once you decide what you want, make a plan. My plan, when I decided that I was going to the industry instead of staying doing my PhD, my plan was this, and I have it here. You can see. My plan was, at that moment, this was my CV, 1 page. Just decide, and I printed about 25 flyers, like CV flyers. I had done my paper for my master degree, and I went into this conference, the APA, the Asia Pacific Aquaculture Conference. I was partially sponsored by Nutriat because I met people in there and they helped me. And that was my plan. Go to that conference, know the industry, all the players in the industry, hand my CV as a flyer and see what opportunities they had. That was my plan. I'm happy and work. Kind of because there were some flaws in there. Then try to follow up the plan, stick to it. Don't be afraid to take that risk, because at the end, if you don't risk it, believe me, at some point you will regret. And nobody dies for a no. I mean, that's the most you can get is no. It's not possible. No, we don't have a position. You can wait. Keep checking on the website. This is where the answers I get many times. Do not take no for an answer in that sense. Be consistent. I went to the websites, I read profiles of job profiles, and I applied to the ones I liked. Then do not let others influence you when the critics are not constructive. There will be always somebody telling you, and I remember this when I was talking to people, hey, I want to go to study, I think I want to go to Taiwan. I didn't even have the scholarship at that point, and people telling me and doubting about it. They were saying, haha, yeah, you're going to study with the Chinese people, right? Ha ha ha, you. I mean, come on, work for it. Don't let that distract you. Don't let people tell you, no, you cannot do it. You can do it. I came from a third world country, but I wanted to do it. You push for it. You find the ways of doing it. There's always a way to do something. Then follow people with the profile you would like to have work-wise. LinkedIn, go into LinkedIn, do your profile, and start to track the companies. And once you track the companies that you like, then you also see that the contacts and the people. Message these people. They are humans as well. Sometimes they will reply you. Sometimes they will not reply you. Of course, if you target the CEO of the company, it's likely that he will not reply unless it's something super interesting that you have. Then be open-minded and get ready. Get ready, because once you get the opportunity, take it and go for it. I'm almost finishing. My advice in this case will be work on your attitude. Attitude is number one. Here it says attitude is 80%. I wouldn't put it that high, but yes, attitude is weighs a lot. Skills and efforts will be, I would say, 50-50. And sometimes what it makes the difference is the attitude you have in an interview. Find a mentor. This is really important. Your professor can be a mentor, especially here in Europe. Professors are very connected to the industry. They need money, they need funds, and not all of them come from the European Union. So make sure you talk to your advisor and you tell them what you want. Probably they can take you to a conference where you will meet all these people. Surround yourself with like-minded people. This is really important, because sometimes your friends are not the best friends if they tell you, no, don't do that. That is boring. No, if they tell you that, then think twice who are your friends. Surround with the people that tells you, hey, yes, I like it, go for it. Or if I can help you with something, let me know, we can talk, etc. That people is the one you want. In my case, was always my dad. Follow companies and people with the profile you would like to achieve, that I already told you. And not all is about talent. Sometimes you're very talented, you're gifted at something, but it's like the hare and the turtle analogy. The hare can run, the rabbit can run really fast, the turtle cannot, right? But it has consistency, it goes at one pace, and at the end, it achieves the goal faster. So be consistent, and if you have the talent, well, good for you. Create an appealing and relevant CV. Companies sometimes don't want the 20 pages. Companies want relevant information. Believe me, you're not the only applicant. So make an attractive one-pager, and that goes a long way. Make sure you attach a personalized cover letter. That's something that I have struggled inside my family with my family members, is they do one cover letter and they want to give to every company. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Do a letter for the work you want and for the company that you're applying to. Do a little bit of research on their website and what they do and so on. then you are your only limitation. This is my last slide. I want to finalize with this. What do you think are the chances for you to win the lottery? It's 1 in 8 million. Those are the chances. Still, we go and sometimes buy a lotto ticket, right? Then what are the chances for you to die in an airplane crash? Well, it's 1 in 3.7 million. Still, you take holidays, you travel, right? What are the chances for you to die in a car crash? Well, 1 in 4,000. Still, we almost drive every single day, right? Most of us. And last, I want to say, what were the chances for you to be born? Well, 1 in 400 trillions. So what's going to be the limit for you? That's the thing. Just think about that. Where are the limitations? You have no limitation. Yourself, your mind is the only limitation. At least that's what it worked for me. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Luis. This was really impressive story. I liked how you built up your story and all the advice you gave us. You really seem like a proactive person and a go-getter. So that's really motivating for the whole audience. And I think you brought the motivation for to do and not observe.
Thank you.
So yeah, and first of all, I would like to invite the whole audience to write their question in the chat. You're also, of course, welcome to put your question via microphone. Just please do announce in the chat. Also, what I wanted to say is, can everybody please write your first, last name, your institute or where you study, just so we see the diversity of our audience. Good. So I will then, if we don't have questions in the chat already.
Another thing, the last thing is, use just if you are interested in talking to me or something like that, just look for my name. You have it in the posters, Luis Valenzuela in LinkedIn, and you can send me a message. I'll be happy to talk to you if you don't want to talk now. If you want to ask anything, just send me a message and I'll be happy to just reply to you. Like I told you, I was once there, and I always hope for somebody to tell me, to give me an insight or what to do. I cannot promise you I give you a job or I get you a job that I cannot do, but I can certainly tell you the steps that I took to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. That's really kind offer to our audience. Okay, great. We already have some questions. So Renata Haidu from Medical University of Innsbruck is thanking you for the presentation. Very motivating and useful, she says. Did you find the internship you did useful for the transition from academia to industry?
No, I did not, because the internship I did was to continue into the science, to continue as a PhD student. So instead, actually was in a way useful to realize that it's not what I wanted, so that I had to make a change. But it was not to lead me into the commercial role that I wanted. No.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Hina Mansour. She's asking how to ask someone for mentorship, and especially if you're a beginner. How to define your objectives and what you want to get out of that connection.
Yeah, this takes some time. First of all, you have to reflect on yourself in the sense of what are you really good at it? Because there are two things. What are you good at it and what do you like? These are two different things. Sometimes it's not the same. Something that I didn't say before, I'm a professional swimmer in a way that I also competed for my country. I did it for 16 years and I liked a particular style that was a breaststroke, so like a frog. But I was not good at it, and I was good at back roll, so backstroke, and in there I had records. So I had to do in a way what I was good at it, not what I liked in that case. And it's similar in this sense. You have to think about it. What do you like? What am I good about? Can I make a living on what I am good at it, and also what I like to do? And so in this sense, you start to put your objectives and what are the steps to go to that place. In that case will be find a mentor. How do you find a mentor? Two ways. Social media, number one. You can check for the people like, okay, I want to become a product manager. Okay, I give you one easy. That's me. I can, in a way, not mentor you because we need to get to know each other. But how did I find my mentors was we had classes where we had people from the industry coming to us. For example, it was feed technology was one, fish nutrition was another one. And this is people that is in the industry is already working. And then they are not professors, they are lecturers. And with them, I established connections that helped me to where I am right now. They gave me advices. They told me how to do my research and so on, in order to make it appealing to when it's presented to the industry. Yeah, so that's how you find mentors.
Okay, great. Okay, and then we have another question from Renata. Did you take any online courses that might help for the transition? And if yes, what were they focused on?
I will say that I didn't take courses for the transition. I took courses that I always thought will be useful. And some of them are in a way of presenting. So to present and not to be boring, to modulate your voice, to talk, how to talk in public. This type of courses I did take in the university because where they were offered. And when you have this type of courses that take you away from your focus, let's say in university science, but just do something that is completely the opposite. That helps you to relax many times, to not have your mind on something, but at the same time, think of how this is going to be useful for you. You know, actually, my engineering degree, I thought it will not be useful. But where I am right now, it's actually super useful. So I will say that almost everything that you come across in a way will have a purpose afterwards. So yeah, just look for those courses. That's what I will say. And I can give you a full list now. I know many that you can take to the transitions.
Great. Hina is asking, thanks so much for the elaborative answer, asking about the CV. Can you please list out a few professional platforms that can help us with the one pager and are also for free? So platforms, free platforms.
Yes. The platform is called Google. You can put free CV templates, one pagers, and they come. That's the free option. And all you have to do, and this is how I did it. I didn't have money when I was studying because I wasn't in a scholarship, and I was a student. Then I did it by myself. You have to section it. I'll be happy to share my template, and then just bring what is relevant to it. That's the way. It takes some time. If it's free and you want it good, it will take some time. It's not that easy. Now, there are platforms where you pay and then you give all your information and they give you a nice template with everything, but you have to pay. I mean, if you want it beautiful, a freelancer will do it for you, but you can also do it. There are templates for that, mainly in Adobe Illustrator and also in PDF. If you have a PDF editor, you can do it. In Word, it's very difficult. I had that. I have done in Word sometimes CVs for my cousins, but it's a bit complicated. It's very complicated because there are many sections and Word is not that friendly for that.
Great. Thank you, Luis. I would have one question. You told us about your career path. And can you tell us more about how does the day of a product manager look like? So how does your typical day look like? And which kind of person do you think is perfect for this kind of job, personality-wise?
Okay, my typical day starts one day before. By the end of the present day, I have to look at my agenda and make sure what I have the next day, that I have everything prepared. If not, you have to sometimes sacrifice a little of your nighttime to do preparation for the next day. If you're super organized, you will have it by heart, by memory. But I tell you, there are so many meetings that you cannot fully memorize all your calendar. Then in the morning, usually I arrive, I take a look again to all the meetings I have. I prepare all the material for them, and then I do emails. After doing emails, then I do whatever report needs to be done, whatever work or request from the regions, from markets, make it ready to send it to them. And in the middle, meetings, right? Sometimes you will have meetings with your superiors where you do strategy. And then this is how it looks the day of a product manager. It's never boring. Why is never boring? Because at least for a product manager, there are always, almost every single day, a different thing to do. If it's not with different products, it's a different process. So it's not boring. And who's good for this? Who is good for this? Somebody who's willing to sacrifice a little bit the part of having, I would say, not so much free time, but I would say that can compromise some of the time, especially if you're in a global role, because you have the world in a way not reporting to you, but making you aware of all the activities that are going. And sometimes for you will be morning, then for Asia will be night, and sometimes for you it's the night, for Australia it's the morning. So you have to be willing sometimes to sacrifice times, special times for these markets. If you want to create a good connection for them, which is key, you have to be very well connected to the markets. And also you have to be very open and not a prejudgment of people. That's very important, because sometimes, especially when you are acquired by a company, you have new colleagues at the beginning. And I actually had the case. I didn't like somebody just by the get-go. And then I said sorry to the person. And it's true. I said sorry because I thought it would be one way. At the end, he was really the opposite. Surprised me for the good, in a good way. And I said sorry for that. Yeah, because I was not being the nice guy that I normally are with everybody. Yeah.
Would you say maybe also because some of the skills that you listed in product management job, you said storytelling, networking, facilitating communication between different departments. Would you say that somebody more extroverted or social butterfly would be, or it doesn't matter whether someone is extroverted or introverted when it comes to...
You wouldn't believe it, but I'm an introvert. Actually, both can do the job. It's just to find the balance on yourself. When I enter the company, I'm very, very balanced, and I can switch between one and another one upon convenience, actually. But it has taken me 5 years on the job. But when I enter, I was very extroverted and very strong personality. When you do this test, 16 type personalities and the disc that we used to do in the company, I was a very, let's say, red person in a way. This is good for the entry level, perhaps, because you come and you show off and you want to put yourself out there and you want to create trust with people and connections and networking on. But as it comes and you develop into the job, you realize that you have to be in a way balanced as well, because if not, people perceive you as a too strong personality. Some of them are not comfortable with you, especially when you work in an environment that is linked to science. There are a lot of people that is very introvert and they will not talk to you because sometimes you will just come on top and this is not what you want. So yeah, you have to be away in a balance. And why I'm an introvert now is because this job demands a lot of energy. So for me to recharge is when I'm alone. So
Okay.
I always try to look for those spaces where I can be alone with myself and recharge. Yeah.
Okay, so you say it's always about the balance. Good, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we have another question about the CV. Is it a good strategy to leave a one-pager for each industry or role? What are the 3 or 4 page CVs for?
No, I would say that I only did 3 pages, or I went over 2 pages at the beginning, and then I realized that that's not smart, because what I was telling you, you can have many achievements, you could have written so many papers, but at the end, the first page is the first impression. So if you can do the one pager first, and you have not for each industry or role 1 page, but a cover letter, the cover letter that I will give to Claudia in DSM will not be the same one that I will give to ex-competitor, to a company that is similar. Because then that cover letter, I will tailor it to that job that I'm applying, and I will name that company and why I want to work to that company, what makes that company different, and why I want to work for them. In the market, they may be leaders in a certain field. So that is the critical part. So the cover letter for me will be tailored to that company that I'm applying and to the position that I'm applying. But the CV, I will leave it the same into 1, max 2 pages. And the second page, I will use it for awards or literature that you have written, or contributions that you have done, achievements, these things. But you should be able to summarize in 1 page yourself.
Great, thank you. Then Hina is having another question. What are the kind of skills or experience one needs to have to apply for entry-level jobs, especially when the job market is really tough?
Actually, the job market is tough, but when it's an entry position, and they put it like, if you go into LinkedIn, it says the position junior product manager entry level, right? So then they are expecting somebody already from university or not so much experience, so they will not be really tough at you. If it's a mid-level senior position, you have to expect a lot of interviewers. I had a round of 8 interviewers, so yes, you have to expect a big crowd, a lot of questions. But the skills, well, like I told you, it depends on the job as well. But if it's commercial job, you have to bring your attitude, your A game. So you have to be in a way likable. Smile. This is not a skill, but this is I wouldn't say that you have to bring the skills, because the interviewer has 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour. They will not know your skills at that moment. And I can write in my first CV for Biomin, I wrote I would say 20 different skills. I cannot prove those skills at that moment. But when you are in the job, let's say you get the job, first of all, problem solving, that's critical, because you are there to learn. And when you detect something, that's another thing. Observe. You have to observe. Once you observe, you know that there's a problem. How can you solve it? Be proactive. This is another one. Be proactive. Bring something they didn't ask you, but you say, hey, to one person. Don't try to show off in a group, because might be that they already considered that idea, or might be that it's totally wrong. So the person who has a problem just comes nicely, said, hey, I saw that we have this situation. I observed during the meeting this. I think this is what I think. Do you think you can make a change? The idea to do it this way? Let them see you. Let them see that you actually contribute to something, and that will help you to go up into the ladder really fast. Yeah.
Okay, then we have another question. Do you see any scope in getting something out from online courses in the actual field? The integration of that virtual knowledge without a concrete evidence sometimes.
That's a long one.
Yes, you can maybe open the chat.
Yeah, I see. Do you see any scope in getting something out of the integration of a virtual knowledge without concrete evidence? Yeah. Sometimes, especially, I have taken many online courses now, especially with the pandemic. Can be also conferences. It can be that you attend 1 or 2 talks, webinars, for example, webinars. I'll give you an example. You talk about antimicrobial resistance, antibiotics and things like that. Do you get something out of it? Yeah, you get to learn a lot of things, especially legislations of Europe. Do you get sometimes the law given to you that you can come to your customer and say, hey, here is the actual paper that says this and this and that? No, but at least you have an idea where the market is going, what the trends are, and how you can talk then later in terms of benefit of what you bring to your customers. So yeah, there's always, like I said, if you have a course and you have to see, at least from the summary, the abstract, the title, what it is. And then you have to think, can I apply this to my job, or can I apply this to my research? Would it bring something to me? And then take it. If you think that it's just useless, or is for credits, if it's for credit, then take it as well. But if it's useless, that you think that it's completely useless and that you can do something better with your time, I would think twice. Yes. Yeah, sometimes it's not good because, too much information, sometimes you don't even know what to do with it.
Thank you, Luis. If we don't have further questions, I would like to thank you for your talk, for all the insightful input you gave and shared with us. I will just say once more that everybody can contact you via our LinkedIn profile and connect. I certainly will. And thank you. And I will just remind the audience that please do fill in our feedback questionnaire after the event. The link is in the chat. And now I want to announce our second speaker, Claudia Hoover Newman. We know Claudia for some time already. She did a soft skills workshop last year that you can watch on our YouTube channel. Claudia has 20 years experience in recruiting, and so she's a perfect person to talk about job hunting and how to find your way in job search nowadays. And this is the talk and the workshop she'll be talking about today. So welcome, Claudia, and thank you for joining us today.
Welcome, everybody, and it's nice to see such a big crowd here, actually on a hot day like this. My name is Claudia. I started to recruit for the former Hoover group, now DSM Austria, 2 years ago. And I have, like Frank mentioned, more than 20 years experience in recruiting, talent acquisition, and employer branding. And so, I was told that, job hunting, how to find the right career opportunity is a big topic amongst the, young science crowd. And so I thought, okay, what could I share with you today? What we're going to talk about is, Luis also mentioned a lot of it in his personal journey. And I'm happy that we kind of meet here on the same, on the same level and same information you will get here and to increase your ideas of how to find the right job. So we talk about how to ask the right questions and understanding a job ad. Short introduction into what job boards are available, what about social media, why and what if not. Kununa and Glassdoor, I think most of you know that. Is that truth or fake? Should you use it? Can it guide you to find the right company? What about data integrity and your personal data on career pages and motivational letter? There was already discussion, do's and don'ts. Unsolicited applications doesn't make sense anymore, and asking the right questions in the interview, just a short overview, reasons for rejections, and should I follow up on it? Starting with the right questions, right? It's like Luis also mentioned before, what do I want? I think this is the most important question you should ask yourself. And this is not only regarding the job content, but also about company size, location, ownership structure. Do you want to work for a huge corporation, for example, or do you prefer a small startup or even a family-owned business? What are your values you want to be covered? Sustainability, for example, ethics, diversity, is that something that the company is also standing up for, or wouldn't you meet anything of it when you get hired there? What are your core competences? What is your USP? Also something Luis mentioned before. What makes you valuable for a company and for a job? And what is your personality? Actually, this is also quite important to kind of think about it when it comes to finding the right job. Understanding the job ad is something I have the feeling some people struggle with that. I would start with evaluating the hard facts. And I received many applications where, let's say, the job ad asks for someone with education in analytical chemistry. And I receive applications from all sort of life science backgrounds. Don't apply to anything just because it's out there. Really check out what's in the job ad. If they say like +3 years of work experience and you have only 2 years, that's not a big deal, okay? Give it a try. Well, when it comes to the technical abilities and the work experience, if it's explicitly mentioned, please take this for serious. If a job ad or a job, especially a careers page, asks you for visa requirements, for example, you would need to have a work permit for a specific country. Please don't. Always tell the truth, and if you don't have it, please don't answer with a yes in case you don't have it. It really causes a lot of troubles for the recruiter, and it doesn't help the process at all, okay? If visa requirements are asked, this is a good reason why. Job boards, which one? I put Google for Jobs up front because I think this is the easiest way today to find a job. And I just figured it works on, of course, it works best on Chrome. It somehow works also on other browsers, but yeah, I would recommend Chrome for it. LinkedIn Jobs, of course, company career sites like careersdsm.com. Check out the companies you're interested in and go to their career site and see what they are offering, and also get the information there. Karriere.at and Steps.at are the biggest job boards in Austria, and you might find probably all relevant jobs there. Very important are also like specific job boards like the ÖGMBT, where you can be sure that you only find life science jobs. And so Karriere.at and Steps.at, you have to be, filter this a little bit better, but with ÖGMBT, you can be sure that all jobs that they're posted there are related with one of your topics. And then several other job boards of universities and Fachhochschulen, and you receive the presentation afterwards anyway, so you just can go through it and check on it. Would I be on every job board? Why not? I know that some job boards want you to kind of sign up on it with like a resume or whatever. Yes, it looks easy at the first place, but on a second view, you would always have to sign up at the career site anyway. So to kind of have your resume ready on Karriere.at or Steps.at might help with small companies, but not with the big corporations, because they need your data in the system also for data integrity. They would not accept the application via Karriere.at, for example. Job boards, career sites, signing up for a talent pool or not. My recommendation is the more the merrier, honestly. Like I said before, go to the different job boards, go to career sites of companies and sign up there. What you should do is like filter your skills, filter your interests, and the country, of course, if you are not willing to relocate. But don't filter too much on the radius of the location, because then you might miss out on opportunities that they look far away, but they are not actually. And remote and hybrid is definitely an option after the COVID crisis. So many companies offer a hybrid work model. Leaving personal data on a career page, good or bad? What my feeling is that the next generations, the Generation Z, and they don't struggle as much with this topic like the former generations do. And when we come to the next slide, you will see why I would recommend, yes, please leave your personal data on a career page, because it really helps you to find the right job, and it helps the recruiter to find you. And how is that happening? So I'm bringing you an example of what we're doing at DSM, for example. We use one tool that's called Eightfold. Eightfold is a tool that works with artificial intelligence, and it's connected actually with the LinkedIn Recruiter. The LinkedIn Recruiter is probably the most powerful tool out there that helps recruiters in-house as well as consulting recruiters to find talent on the net, on LinkedIn and on the net. So this is why I would strongly recommend to have your profile on LinkedIn. I will explain Eightfold a little bit later. Other social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Yes, if you want to have your profile there too. Why? Because the artificial intelligence helps you to connect with the right opportunity. Yes, we all have these glass profiles there, but so platforms like Eightfold, they find you on the net, and they can offer you the right opportunity, the right job in your feed. You don't even need to look for this job actively, but you would probably looking for the next sofa for your apartment, and then you get an ad that tells you, hey, DSM has a next job, has a nice job for you that could fit your interests. And this happens with Eightfold, but of course also with other campaigns. So if you're not on social media, probably most of the big companies would not find you that easy and could not offer you the right opportunity. Kununu and Glassdoor, I also took a look myself, and we have a Kununu profile and a Glassdoor profile. We always try to answer all the comments there. I would be careful when you read comments to kind of evaluate the content, because sometimes, I have to say that sometimes frustrated employee kind of takes revenge and then puts things out there probably where it was his way how to see it, but other employees would not see it that way. And therefore be careful when you read it, and it's not a black and white situation we have there. Now we're coming to the motivational letter, and I fully agree with what Luis says to create a specific letter that fits every role and every company. We just have one problem. Many tools now only accept one attachment. So it's what you would need to do is kind of to combine the CV and the motivational letter into one document that you could attach. This can be exhausting if you apply for many roles out there, because every time you have to build a new PDF. What I did myself in the past, and what I think is also worth to think about it, is to kind of use a format as a motivational letter that kind of focuses on your skills and competencies, and that you can also keep in a way where you don't need to change it every time. This would also work. some companies don't even care about the motivational letter. They want to make it very easy and for the applicants, and especially because many applications coming in by mobile. So they accepted that there is no motivational letter. For myself, I think it's really important because one should take the time to think about, why do I want this job? Why do I want to join this company, and what am I bringing in? Very important, please don't tell a long story. The recruiter has no time to read it. Please keep it short and clear, and please not a 2-pager. This is no application for university, because sometimes I have the feeling that people kind of think because for university you need a way more, for PhD you need a way more intense and long the motivational letter. You don't need that for your job application. It's the most important is that you show your interest in why you're interested in the company and why you're interested in this job. Don't use superlatives, please. And can you please shut the door? Don't use superlatives, please, in the motivational letter. It's not a good idea. And if you can't find a recruiter's name, this was also asked, is like just use anything else, like dear Madam and Sir, recruiting team to whom it may concern. No problem. If you can't find the name, then this is good. Very important, better double check, is it the right name of the company, the right name of the person, the right name of the job? I can tell you, if any of those things are wrong, then the recruiter doesn't even take the time to kind of read anything of the letter or the resume, because this is in German you would say the Kardinalfehler, so a big mistake if you kind of write Miss Hoover Newman, but then you can read dear Miss Bauer. So it's not a good idea. Better check double. What do we need in the resume? Mandatory, please, your current location, please, phone number, please, email, nationality, and work permit information if necessary, so if it's requested. Why your current location? Because we need to, some roles are global and or posted globally, but are connected with a specific location, and we need to see ahead. Is it easy to kind of, what about relocation? Would this be needed to be considered, etc. Photo, you don't have to do that. If you like to, if you put a photo in it, please double check on the dress code, on your background, and how you face the interviewer. Smiling is an option, and it's a very good option. Luis talked about that there are lots of templates on the internet. Don't make it too creative, right? It should give a good overview on what's your education, what's your work experience, and also your probably hobbies and interests. It's also always very interesting for us to see. The unsolicited application, I think this depends, is that useless or not? It depends on the size of the company. For example, with DSM, we have a talent pool. And because of this talent pool, there is no chance that you could send us any application without a job that's posted. We could also not accept it because we're not allowed to accept resumes via email. So I think smaller companies don't have that, but in our case it is, and everything needs to get in via the system because of data compliance. So this is really important for us. And talent pool, yes, like we said before, it's a good idea to sign in to a talent pool, because then you receive information about job offers that are currently available in the company. Asking the right, sorry, my screen is a little bit, okay, I had a blurred screen for the moment.
It's okay here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's coming back again. Okay, so asking the right questions in the interviews. what you do, what you don't do. I mean, there are a lot of instructions out there also on the internet that you can read up to. I think most important is always ask, of course, about the background of the role and facts you couldn't find in the job ad or on the career page. But please do your homework and go to the careers page first. Check out on the company you're applying for, and don't start asking questions about the company itself. Everything you can read on the homepage. Ask about constellation of the team and also about the expectations of the manager and the team, because this signalizes that you want to find out how to fit in. What I wouldn't recommend is in the first call to talk about benefits offered or overtime expected, because this is something you can keep for later. But this is not something I would use in the first meeting or first call. Rejection is a big topic, right? Should you follow up? Most important is if you receive a rejection, there could be several reasons, right? So yes, better qualified external candidates, but also internal candidates available at the same time. Work permit issues. Why work permit issues? I'm also, for example, I'm recruiting for Switzerland at the moment, and Switzerland has a very hard law on work permit and for people coming from third countries. It takes up to 6 months and a lot of work for the recruiter and for HR to get to this permit. So DSM is only doing that starting with an executive level, actually. In Austria, we have a little bit of a different setup, but also here it takes 6 months before we could onboard you successfully if you're coming from a third country. So this could be an issue if the role needs to be hired or needs to be filled very fast, that this could be an issue for a rejection, right? You would probably never receive the real reason why you were rejected. So more a formal letter. Why? Because it's usually standardized in companies, and it's in some countries it's against the law to kind of telling the real reason for it. What you could always do is like write or call the recruiter and say, hey, I went through several stages of recruiting here, and I'm interested in why didn't I make it? And you would most likely, in most cases, receive the feedback in a phone call. And you can always request that, especially if you have the feeling that that you need it for your personal development. Never give up. Yes, that's always, I think also Luis mentioned that before, never give up, okay? Because a no for one role doesn't mean a no for another role. And yeah, that's it from my side. So I'm happy to unshare my screen now because I don't see anything besides my own screen. It's a little bit weird.
Thank you, Claudia. You gave us a bit of useful information about the job search from different sides. I like that. And so I'm looking forward now to the discussion. I'm pretty sure the audience will have interesting questions. And I would like to start off with a bit questions about LinkedIn. Me personally, but I think probably audience also, they're puzzled about how does it work with the recruiters and the LinkedIn. How big of a percentage of the candidates do you screen or look on LinkedIn? If you can answer that question, if that's not a private information.
No. I couldn't tell you the percentage, but if I look for candidates, I basically have to be honest, I only look on LinkedIn. So the active sourcing would only, in my case, or in my now company's case, would happen via LinkedIn. I think some colleagues from Germany also use Xing. I stopped using Xing because it doesn't fit my expectations for a recruiter board. And the tool we use is eightfold. If, for example, a candidate applies then Eightfold shows me if this candidate has a LinkedIn profile. And on the other side, if I do my sourcing on LinkedIn and I click on a profile, then it shows me that we already have this person in Eightfold and in our database. This only happens, of course, if the candidate signed up for the talent pool and renews his information, I think, every 6 months. Otherwise, the data will be deleted after 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. And another question about the LinkedIn, and then I will start with the questions from the audience. Is it good to state on your LinkedIn profile that you're open to work, and for how long?
Well, the opinions are not, are not clear on that. So some people say don't do it. Others say do it. I think it depends on the status of your career. If you are a very experienced person with a lot of work experience, I would not recommend to do it. Because also your own recruiters could see it, and it should not happen, but you can never trust on the technical issues of LinkedIn. So sometimes then it could be that the recruiter gets it. So I wouldn't do that. For people who kind of finish their, let's say, last internship or who graduate from university, why not? It pushes you up front in the list of candidates.
Yeah, it's always interesting because in general, job applications are science on its own, and as you said, for example, for this question, the opinions are divided, but that's why it's good to hear reasoning for always from different people and different experiences.
Yeah.
So let's take first question from the audience. Tamara Tomic says, "Thank you very much. I was wondering if there is a board except ÖGMBT job board where companies also offer master thesis positions."
Not that I'm aware of, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I think there is another society that Jungchemiker, but they're only for chemists. So no, I don't think that they are also for biotechnologists. I think they do something like this, but otherwise I'm not aware of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have also chemists in the audience, so it was a useful tip anyhow. Okay, and then we have another question from Hina Manzor. If the company or a recruiter doesn't mention any cover letter or motivational letter with the position role, is it still a good idea to go for it since they don't have much time to read everything?
What I would do honestly is I would create a resume or a CV that contains a small paragraph that kind of tells your story, like was mentioned in his presentation. What you're currently doing, what you did in the past, but very shortly, and what you're interested in. Where's your passion, right? And try to combine that like in a small paragraph, and then you have the rest of the resume below. You could always then add in there's always a part where you can leave a personal message on the career platform, and if you can do that, then I would put a more personalized information in it. But if the company doesn't request it explicitly, the motivational letter, you can skip it. You don't have to.
Okay, thank you. Then we have a question from Luca Catalano. I will finish my PhD soon. If the positions in the companies did not match completely my profile, how do you suggest to address this issue? Thanks.
To sign up in the talent pool, definitely, because if the company would not offer you any position that would be interesting for you, then it wouldn't make sense. But if it's just a matter of time, then sign up in the talent pool, and you will be informed about the future vacancies that could be interesting for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Would you also, I would have another question. Do you think it's also smart to maybe adjust your CV depending on the country where somebody is applying? Because you said, for example, that you're recruiting now for Switzerland, and then there is a bit maybe different rules. Also, for example, in Austria, it's requested to have a photo on the CV, and that's not the case for all the countries in Europe.
I don't think that's really necessary. No, I don't see that. I mean, I know that, for example, in the States, you have a different setup in the resume. So they don't, of course, they don't expect you to put in your age, or they don't expect you to put in a photo. I know that companies like, or I heard of the companies like MSD, for example, they would rule your resume automatically out if you put in a photo on your resume. But this is, I've never seen that actually. It's just what I heard from people.
Okay, and I know that you were mentioning throughout your presentation, and but what is the status on photo or no photo for DSM?
We don't have that. We have, so like the tool, this eightfold tool, gives us the opportunity to forward the resumes we receive in a very diverse and very natural or very how would I say that, in a way that diversity is covered as much as possible. So it only shows the hiring manager the skills of the person, the education, and the work experience, but it doesn't tell you if this is a female or a male person. It doesn't tell you if the country of this person, nationality, birth date, if it's included, photo. It cuts it out for the first checkup, and then when the hiring manager says, okay, these 2-3 profiles, they would be a good match, then we're sending out the more detailed resume.
Okay, good. Thank you. Also, before we had a question that was asked to Luis, and then I thought that maybe you could address this question also additionally. For example, we had a question, should we keep one-pager resume for certain positions, or is there positions in industry that are requesting also like 3 or 4 pages, like in academia?
No, I would say as a graduate, 1-pager is good enough. The more you gain experience, it's always good to also see what you're doing in or what you did in the specific role you had. And if it's 1 or 2 pages, then for an experienced person, this is not a problem. Starting with 3 up to 4, yeah, it can be problematic, but 1 to 2 pages is good. And I would say, with papers, for example, some people they list all their papers also on the resume. This is also something I wouldn't do unless I apply, of course, for a role in the educational field, like universities or so. But for industry, you don't need to do that unless it's relevant for the job you're applying for. So if one of your papers is connected with the job, then of course, but not 10, 15, 20 papers. That's not, we can talk about this later on, but not not for starters.
So I don't see any more questions in the chat, but I would like to maybe let's wrap it up with the question: where can can our audience find all the jobs available from DSM? I guess on the webpage, and how they can also reach out to you if they have more questions.
Of course, yes, please. I'm also available on LinkedIn and happy to connect with each of you, and also don't hesitate to get back to me with questions.
Okay, good, great. Thank you, Claudia, for speaking for us once more and for all the input, and to both you and Luis and DSM, presenting with DSM today.